Hello everyone, John Doyle from OptixEQ, and welcome to the OptixLIVE stream. I'm going to have a fun-packed time here. I have a lot of races I want to look at, show you how to use optics techniques, to identify some long shots. I'll also identify some long shots later in the cards. We'll go over some live races and just have some fun. So ask any questions you want. It's all about learning optics and how our uniqueness can help you have an edge. Okay, so the one thing I do, and you're going to see I got a lot of buttons on here, and most of you don't. This is our kind of development system. So, but the buttons that count really are the the plot, the grid notes, and also scan and rod. And I wanted to click rod because I wanted to show you the one thing I kind of start the day with, because I don't want to miss horses that maybe are potential long shots that we have seen run and maybe need to be upgraded based on trip or whatever. And so I use rod to do that. And the way I do it is I get into rod. It takes a little bit to load. It's already preloaded for us here. And then what I do is I go over to Optics Notes, and I want to look at the horses that had a green keyword in the last race. Green keywords in optics are good. We analyze the races afterwards. We determine, based on results, horses that do better kind of next time out based on these keywords. And it's put in context of what class they're in and how they improve speed figure wise and all the rest. But it's a very good indicator to say, hey, maybe that last trip, you can upgrade the horse based on that last trip. It's more than trip. It's kind of interpretation of kind of even the horse's form cycle to some extent. So anyway, I click here, I get a list of horses. And, typically I just kind of go down the list. When I see a horse that maybe had a keyword of turf and the horse is on dirt, I just kind of ignore that one and move on. I'm kind of looking for prices too. I'm looking for horses, maybe greater than or equal to 5-1. And you can filter on all those things, okay? There's a bunch of filters for all this stuff. Odds is one of them, so you can see this. So any of these buttons you can filter on if you want to look for squares. It's a great tool for you to really kind of look at things that are really interesting or important in terms of optics and optics notes and optics plot even, right? Because you can look at squares and all the rest. So what I did was I kind of just went down the list, and the first horse that I came through was Dilmani. I don't know what this horse's name is, but it's race 1 at Churchill, which is about 15 minutes out. I thought this horse was mildly interesting, especially in a really bad race. If you look at the plot, it looks like it's really kind of contentious up front. You can see the contention speed. You can looks that way. Now the 3, the horse that I was interested in, plots all the way down here. Okay, and but what we're looking at is a maiden claiming races with horses dropping and all the rest. And I just want you to look, because the 3s really had only one race in the United States. So let me go to the grid, and you can see that when you look at this field. You got a bunch of horses that have kind of lost at this level. So usually that's a negative, right? They can't run. They've already proven they've lost at this level. And so why would you be betting them, especially at shorter prices? So I always kind of look for these races to kind of look for outliers. And, I kind of look for lightly raced horses. So you got a first-time starter in the 2. I kind of looked at his works. Wasn't wowed by him, but as a horse, in a race like this where, it's just crap, is a horse you can consider. I guess the 6 ran okay above today's level, but he's already lost below today's level. 7 looks like he's got kind of the best speed figures, is the current favorite, probably go off the favorite. But the horse that intrigued me a little bit was 3, okay? And you can see the reason why we picked him out of the list, he's got an improve, okay? If you look at the extended comment, you can click these or just hover over him. He was banged around shortly out of the gate, never got into strike. And that was a race on the grass going long. And I'll tell you, I look back, that race came back pretty strong, okay? So, this is a horse you might want to look at. Let me just pull up some notes here so I can lay it out for you. So, so he has notes, keyword of improve. It's a big drop, right? So he's going from a 75,000 down to 20,000. He's getting the surface change. He's had a sharp work since then. And like I said, this is a real weak race. So taking a chance on a horse that's running above the level well above the level in a really strong race that came back strong. Really had trouble to start, really never got into the race. Might be worth a shot, especially off that improved work. And you know, trainer, I don't get too much into these trainer things and statistics, but I know good trainers when I see them, especially with younger horses. And Catalano is, and then you get, and the blinkers go on. It's a rider change. I think this horse is really worth a shot, especially at the price of 13-1 currently. So he's a horse I want to take a shot with in a race that's really subpar. Okay, so that's kind of my assessment of race 1. Again, we evolved from we went from the Optix rod to get to this horse. So I'm going to go back to the list and just kind of continue to go down the list. But it just gives you kind of an indication of, you know, again, how to use this list and, you know, how to work it. So I kind of went down this list, and I kind of arrived at the next horse I kind of arrived at was at Monmouth, and that was in the 5th race, exclusive order. Okay. So let me show you exclusive order. Let me go back to the grid plot. Go to race. Let's see where the race 8. Get this in race 8. Okay, exclusive order. See in this race? Race 8. Do I have the right race? Race 5. My bad. Race 5. Get the grid lined up here too. Okay. Thought I changed that. Okay, so here we go. So exclusive order, this is a horse that is getting back to the turf. Okay, so if you look at his 2 races, the last 2 races, he started off his career in New York. They dropped him down to 50 after his debut. He ran, you know, subpar, but still, New York made special, much different than Monmouth, much better. Then they tried him on the dirt. He didn't run. He was in the mud. And then he got the slop last time, and he got kickback. So his number was like negative, but you think about kickback, it's another one of our key words. And horses really kind of move up off of kickback, okay? And this horse probably doesn't like the dirt to begin with. So I'm going to overlook those 2 poor performances. And that was his first race at the level. So I'm going to overlook that race. You see our projection here, a turf on this horse? That tells me that this horse wants to get back on grass. You look at his numbers here, they really fit, especially these numbers were done as a 2-year-old. So there's grow up potential there. So this horse really seems like he's capable. Second race off a long layoff. And I just think he gets his preferred surface in a race like this, you know, with a morning line of 20-1. I mean, this horse is worth a shot. It's a kind of a cloudy plot, it doesn't look like there's contention, but there's some speed rating. Kind of leaves plots in quadrant 2. If you look at the quad percentages, and what this does, the quad percentages kind of tell you the profile in terms of the track versus where this horse plots. So you can see he's positive there versus the other horses. So for me, at that price, this horse is just worth some kind of action. So that's race 5 at Monmouth exclusive order. Okay. So you kind of get the idea of how to, how we kind of could, one way of using this information. The other thing is I kind of always tell people there's lots of different ways to use the information. Don't get locked into it. The information is good. And the only thing we tell people, and we tell ourselves sometimes, is trust the information, because in the long run, that information is going to pay for you. And the thing is I think we're, with lots of tools out there and algorithms out there, it's hard to kind of pick horses that are outliers. And we think our information helps you get there. But it takes an interpretation. And my interpretation sometimes is different than people that work here at Optix, or even people that are some of our clients and even end users. So, stick with it. The information is what's important. Trust it, and there's multiple ways of interpreting it. I always like, people that always say, "Well, this horse got a big squareness." I like to use it in context of I like to integrate both the plot and the notes so that I understand. Yeah, a horse may have a big square, but he could be coming off his best race, and maybe he got a great trip, and maybe he's time for some regression for some other reason, and the notes tells me that. And that's how I do it. I kind of play both of those and do kind of what ifs, but the information is presented in a way so that it's easier to do that. So, okay, let me see if we have any questions. Someone didn't recognize me. Yeah, I shaved my beard. So, yeah, it's summer in Scottsdale, so I need a tan now. So, but it's it's a little too hot for a beard. We'll get back there in the winter. All right, I'm going to go down the list a little bit more here. So just to follow where we are, Churchill 5 minutes out. The 3 is currently 14-1. I expect the horse to even go higher. And like I said, in a race like this, the horse is worth a shot. Since they're live, I did look at Monmouth. It looks like, this is a race I wouldn't bet. But I will tell you, I think the favorite looks solid. The number 1 is currently 9-5. I guess he's a lukewarm favorite in this race. It's not a race I want to bet, but I think he sits a good trip. You can see his plot. He should be able to sit again. Maybe a pocket trip. Maybe he goes for the lead if the 3 and 6 don't. The reason I kind of liked him too, he had an excuse in his last race. This is one of those kickback horses. So you could see we gave him an EX too, and horses that are EX generally really improve the next time out. Don't like the price. Just not facing much here. And so if you're playing multi-race bets, maybe that's kind of where you would use them. Don't have any other opinion on, maybe somebody else running underneath him. I guess maybe the 7 could run up underneath if the 1, 3, and 6, but I'm really not sure about that. I just thought the 1 looked pretty solid and is a legitimate favorite. Now dropped down to 8-5. So not a race that I'm excited about or really want to get involved with. Okay, let's go to GP. GP's got a bunch of babies, but I noticed that the 1 in that race, you got a bunch of horses that didn't start, but the 1 did get kicked back in that debut race, ran pretty good. So, I would prefer him over the 7, the ones that run, but there's just too much ambiguity here with the horses that didn't run. So, okay. Oh, they're off there. So he's kind of sitting 4th right now. He's 7-2, which is, well, he just got shuffled back. He's in bad shape, the 1. He did not trip out there. So, yeah, it's tricky to rail, especially these young horses. Sometimes it's just, what it is. But so they're about to go to gate at Monmouth, and race 1. He's still holding 8-5 as the favorite. Not an overwhelming favorite, but I'm still a favorite. So let's watch this race here, and then we're 2 minutes out at Gulfstream. Yeah, the 1 had a terrible trip. Did get up for 3rd though at Gulfstream. We'll look at the next race when it comes up. I am recording this, so if you want to come back, if we'll be here for a while, we could be in and out. But I do have some later in the card. I want to continue to go down that list. I think there's some horses to watch. Well, the 1 got the lead here, so that's a good thing for him. Wow. Dropped down to even money. Don't you hate them? But it's not a bettable race, let's face it, for me. Just, I didn't have a strong, again, unless you're looking at single horses and me on a single horse at Monmouth in short fields. Now he's getting pressure, though, from the 6. And he's done the 1, actually. Yeah, he's done. 6 went by him. It's over. Yeah. And the 6 is going to get swallowed up by the 4. Who's a firster. There you go. Yeah, see, these horses are all bad. Firsters kind of have a shot no matter what, those types of races. 4 just got by the 6 late. Let's go back to Churchill. That's the race we're waiting for. They're a minute out. Okay. The other thing I'm going to show you too is scan for people that have never seen this before. Again, if you buy the plot, you get scanned. So you'll see this button. You click this button, and then you get this table. And you see Optix plot, Optix grid. And what you could do from here, you could open the grid or the plot. Okay. So you just, so what you do is you select which one you want to open, and then you double click the race you're interested in. What I like to do, and there's filters here for fast pace scenarios and slow pace scenarios. Those are kind of extremes. And what you want to do is I'm going to show you how to kind of handicap those extremes, because sometimes there are not many in a day, but they can really narrow down how you look at a race and maybe create value, especially with some of these fast-paced scenarios where you get races that kind of melt down. So I'm going to click that button, and I see there's 2 races today that fit that category, and I'm going to show you one of them. Let's see how they do it. Let's watch the race, the Gulfstream, because they're loading right now. Okay, I've got a question. Okay. I'll keep doing races on the fly as long as they're there. See how this 3 gets out. He was slow last time. Looks slow. It's slow, but not up on the lead. Yeah, I expected that 3 to show a little bit more speed, but he's getting a pace in front of him. It looks like 3 horses are really battling for the lead. Well, he's gonna have to pass them all basically. But he's getting paced around to there. 22.98 for a quarter here, going a mile for this type. This race could fall apart. Let's see how quick they go to the half. If they're like 46.5, then this horse might have a chance. 46-1. He's still way back. Gonna have to make a run, but they went pretty fast. So he has some run. Maybe he can get a piece. Yeah, not the way he's moving. He's kind of slowed down. He didn't make any kind of move. So, no. All right, well, those are the things you kind of take shots on some of these long shots, and they run like long shots. So, he didn't run a lick. He's not good. Okay, let me just finish, and then I'll go to the live races or something. But let me just make this point with the scan. So I'm going to go to Hawthorne because I looked at this plot, and I think there is a potential for a long shot here. You can see this is important. When you look at these kinds of plots, they offer opportunities, so pay attention, okay? First of all, you got a contention is high, and you can see it when you see all these circles in quadrant 1 and quadrant 3. You know there's a potential for a meltdown. When you see that the run styles of 4 of the horses are near the lead, that's another indicator. When the speed rating's above 50, that's another indicator. So this race screams meltdown. I'm looking off the pace. And the horses that just kind of stand out off the pace. I mean, I guess the 5 a little bit could sit, but I really like going for horses that are deeper closers in this case, and that would be the 4 and 6. You can see they kind of really are big squares. all the way there in quadrant 4. And this is where quadrant 4, maybe wins 8%, 9% of the time. Quadrant 4 square kind of moves up, maybe to like 14, 15% under this kind of scenario. So you're worth taking a shot. You're worth looking at it. And also, what I tend to do is really focus and try to make a case for the horse with unless I can't, the horse at the longer odds. In this case, it would be the 6, who's coming off a long layoff. But, I would look at both these horses, and I would, look at the odds and look if there's anything else, about them. Might as well go to the grid since we're talking about. But I would just kind of look at both of them and just see if I can make a case for either one or both and figure out how to play it, kind of key these horses around. So let's go to the grid. Now they're both morning line 8 and 12 to 1, so that's pretty good to begin with. You can hear some noise in the background. I guess we got some people working around the neighborhood. So we're going to start with number 4. Yeah, I apologize. I'm kind of working on a little bit of a slower computer, so. Okay, awfully fun. This horse is third off a layoff. Didn't run as well. And I don't like that. Horse comes off a layoff. Like, I usually like to look for improvement the second time. He didn't show improvement, ran a worse race. It seems like he's been getting pace to run at. So I don't know. Let's look at the 6. I think I'm going to prefer that one with the odds. This one's probably not going to get played. But look at this horse. He came off a long layoff before and delivered. Okay, he ran bad off a long layoff. Ran bad, but he was in a different kind of scenario. He's got back class too. So these are back class races. This is a horse that didn't get pace the last time he ran before. Let's look. When this horse gets pace, let's say fast pace. How does he run? He won. Okay, so he won off a fast pace race before. Synthetic. Let's look at been running on synthetic race. See how he's. I mean, he's got back class, so he can find himself. He was a good horse on dirt. Then they moved him to synthetic. Now they kind of got him back on dirt. His last 2 races were not good, but like I said, maybe he was just off form at the time. He gets the pace scenario, and he's going to be a big price. I take a shot with this horse at a big price, just because the race just sets up this way. No, if you get a better closer, most of the people are going to probably be on the 4 or the 5. I would just play the 6. This is where you trust the information. These scenarios don't come up much with these, there's pace dynamics. I take a shot because you're going to get a big price. You're going to get paid. And it just sets up that way, okay? So that's what I call a plot extreme here. Let me pull it up for you. Just get my notes here. Yeah, plot pace extreme, Hawthorne race 7. So yeah, that's one to play around with. Okay. Don't forget to bet the horse to win too. You can use him in the exotics underneath, but he's going to be double digits, so bet him to win. Let's go back to the live racing. Belmont, I think we have a babies race, so not much to report there. Let me see. Let's go to Belmont. Yeah, so nothing to report there. Let's look at race 2. We get something a little bit better. We can examine the plot. Okay, that may be a plot we can read, so we'll wait on that. Let's see Gulfstream race 2. Okay, so Gulfstream race 2 looks plottable too. So this is interesting. You have 3, 5, and 6 who are kind of need the lead types who have no chance, right? Because they don't look like any of them are going to get the lead. So they're tosses. So 3, 5, 6 are tosses. That leaves us with 1, 2, 4, 7. Okay. Doesn't look like, don't know how the pace is going to play out here. It might be a little bit more contentious if the 3, 5, 6 of them show any kind of speed like they're supposed to. But really, I can't separate 2, 4, 7 on the plot. I mean, I guess the 2 looks the best, and he's 4 to 1. Let's see his notes here. We got other. Backed off Doyle after contesting early pace, finished ahead of the other speed, but could not overcome off pace. Okay, so he ran pretty well. This morning line's a lot low, so I guess he's going to drop. The 7 is even money. Not sure why. That could be just early betting. I don't know if you folks looked at the doubles or something. Take a look at that. The 4, he's dropping. Is getting back to, it looks like dirt. And he's 3 to 1. Really, I'll be honest with you, I just would go with the best price of these. Let's look at the 1 now, because he's off the pace. He's coming off a layoff. Let's go look at the grid. He's a big price. And, just, in case sometimes what happens is one of these horses or 2 of these horses don't run, and then the other horses got it easy breezy, right? So that's why I just say go with the best price. If they hook, the 1 might be a horse that could come running late. And if they just don't show up, the 1 could just be picking up the pieces anyway. So at 15 to 1, and what I don't understand is, like, this horse is 5 to 2. I'm missing something here. Sometimes I wonder if I'm on the same race. It just, these odds just seem weird. It's probably early betting, I would imagine. So we're going to watch the board a little bit here. Let me see. I'm going to go and see if we have doubles prices that would help me figure this out a little bit. Let's see. Okay, let's look at the doubles. Okay, so 7 is the favorite in the double. Yeah. So 7, 4. The 4 is the 3rd choice. So that means more than likely the 4 is going to be the longest price. So there you go. And then when we look at the 1, it's going to be kind of a big. So 4 and 1 are kind of interesting to me, just based on price. Let's look at their form. Just make sure that they're not complete. So the 1 is dropping, coming off a layoff. Kind of an angle that I love. He's a little iffy. Let's see if he's had a barn change. No. Vasquez is running before. Maybe underneath. Okay, that's about where I would go with that horse. Let's look at the 2, 4, and 7. Compare those horses. So the 2 second off a layoff, he ran pretty good. Nothing really to knock there. Gets a rider change. Back to Reyes. Looks like Reyes would run them. Both capable jockeys. The 4, a little bit of a freshening off some bad efforts, gets a drop. Seems like this horse runs better on synthetic. You can see the 80s, right? Than he does on turf. So maybe there's a little bit of forgiveness there on that last number, that turf number. And the dirt number before that was against, better. So for me, right now, that's kind of where I'm leaving, especially with the 7 at 4 to 5. I don't think he'll be 4 to 5. Indeed, these odds will, based on the way things are, the doubles are, they'll be closer. These horses will be closer. But this horse ran below the level. They run a good race in a duel. I'm just not getting it. Now it just looks like I got Vasquez on that horse. 4 had Reyes. He moved off. 2 has Reyes. Trying to follow the jockeys here a little bit. Jaramillo, he went to the 1. Well, that was Wilfred Vasquez. Not Angel. Okay, Angel is on the 7. Jaramillo went to the 5. Okay, so that's just a little intriguing to me. because I know he's one of the leading jockeys there. So he's off the 2, who I thought was a contender. And he's off the, was it the 7? Okay. Let's look at the 5. Just on the hard lead. Just, you know, this horse kind of needs the lead, and I don't see it here. So maybe that pace will be better than we even expect. You know, maybe the 5 is going to show speed. The 3, you know, maybe this race melts down a little bit. Let's see how the one thing I like to look at is how these horses kind of run when they run a good race. You know, how do they run it? I'm looking at the 4. Kind of come off the pace a little bit, which is a good thing in this race. Let's look at the 2. Can he come off the pace a little bit? He runs a good race. Yeah, a little bit, I guess. I think he likes to be a little bit closer. Yeah, for me, it's the 4. And maybe the 1 underneath, Gulfstream. Like I said, you know, so interpreting the plot, you have to factor in the price here. So the 4 is going to be the longest price, even though currently I think he's below the 2. Just based on the doubles, you know, I would go on that, assume that that's what's going to happen. So I like the 4 and the 1, just in case something crazy up there happens, or maybe, you know, the 1 just comes underneath. So maybe like a 4 all 1 or 4-1 exacta, or both. Kind of like that. How you like that? Okay, so that's Gulfstream. Let me see if there's anything else out there. They're 4 minutes out. Let me see if I got any questions too. I got to get my head buried in the stand with this information, and then I kind of forget there's people out there. No comments. Okay, good. Yeah. Let me go back to the scan. Please take notes, because this, I mean, on these races I'm giving you, this, I think there's some opportunity here. So I'm going to look at the slow pace races now. And there's a race here at Laurel. Okay, I'm going to open that race up. I think this horse has an opportunity. This is a horse that's has some good numbers. He ran off a long layoff, okay, in bad weather, and then it's come right back in like 9 days, and that's number 5. And you can see, look at the pace advantage he has over these horses on both standard and surface. Now, the 2 has got the best late kick, but, you know, with a speed rating and a contention of a snowflake, a speed rating of 0, this horse, if they just put him out in the front, looks like maybe a horse that can wire the field. So to me, this is one of these other pace extremes where you got a very low contention, very high speed rating. You got a horse that's above the line, you know, at least on surface and distance, above the par line. Again, what the par line is the second call. So, you know, basically it's the par or the average for the second call of a race. So this is the only horse above the par line. I take a shot with the number 5, okay, in race 6 at Laurel. So mark that one down. So it was the 6 in race 7 at Hawthorne and the 5 in race 6 at Laurel. Okay. Yeah. So that's how you use scan. I mean, one way to use it to get to pace extremes. And again, once you get to the pace extreme, because there was 2 races there, I kind of just looked at the other one, didn't kind of fit what I was looking for. So, you know, it's just visually, I kind of know what I'm looking for once I've gotten that filter in. And these are the 2 races I came up with. So there's not a lot of these opportunities in a day, but I just see them as a big advantage. Now, again, you got to wait and see what the prices are on these things and all the rest. But, you know, to me, if you're anywhere near 4-1, 7-2, that horse seems generous in that race at Laurel. Okay. Okay. So I'm done with the scan. So I'm going to start just get rid of some of this stuff so I can function. Okay. And again, remember it was the 6 in race 7. They're off that aqueduct. Wow, the 1 popped out of the gate like a monster. 4-1. It's such an event, you know, like these baby races, these 2-year-olds, you get out of the gate, it's like 3/4 of the race is over after that. Going 5 furlongs. Get stalked by a 3-1 shot. it'd be hard to beat. He just kind of popped out of the gate and made almost like a length lead. And you'll see we use a keyword called pop. You know, usually the other thing that indicates is the horse's fitness too. So if you see that horse kind of, even closers could pop out of the gate and drop back. So it's important. It's an important keyword to kind of determine the fitness of the horse or the advantage the horse got in that particular race. One of the best horses popping out of the gate is that Creative Causeway. I'm trying to think, the horse that was on the Derby trail, I think he's coming back. It's a nice horse. Didn't show that gate speed in the Derby, and it was kind of done, but a horse to keep an eye on nonetheless, because I think he's talented enough. I'm not sure about like mile and a quarter and all the rest, but I think he's a horse that's pretty good at middle distance, mile 16, maybe up to a mile and 8. Okay, so Monmouth are up to race 3, and they're 0 minutes to post, but it's Gulfstream, so maybe they got another hour. Race 2, no, I think they're better than they used to be. So the way it's playing out is 7 is the favorite, 2 is second choice, and 4 is the third choice, and the 1's still double digits. So, like we said, we're thinking about 4-1 exact, 4 all, maybe 1, you know, in terms of a try in that race. I still would stick with that. And if you're a win better, you know, 7-2, I think it's a fair price. I wouldn't. He's up to 4-1. I think, yeah, 4-1 would be a good win price, but it's hard to bet late with the late changes and stuff. It's hard to bet win prices, especially if you're on the cusp. If you're not, it doesn't matter. Okay. For people that joined us maybe a little later, there was a horse that we talked about in Monmouth today in race 5. They're up to race 3, so if you're playing multi-bet races, you know, you can consider this horse. Got kicked back, severe kickback last time. He's back to his preferred surface, the turf. First time this low level on grass. The race time now is a bit cloudy, but he's worth a shot because the way he plots in the versus the track profile is very good. So sometimes that's what I look for. And if a race is kind of, this is the third race, if the race is kind of muddy, I kind of look at that quad percentages more, just to kind of maybe do some different things. So this is race 3 at Monmouth. It's on the turf. It looks like the 7 and the 9 and the 11 will be up front. Looks like there's some speed in this race, pace. So, above 50 is a good pace. So that could kind of set things up. You got the first, maybe the 6 and the 1 look like they might sit at 5. 1, 5, 6 look like they can sit. Okay. See if there's anything in the form. So, 1, 5, 6 is a big price. I mean, the 6 is kind of interesting just because he's 21-1. So, that's a horse that's interesting in this race, to say the least. It's just based on the plot. The other horses that, I'm just kind of looking squares here. Just kind of, what I would do is go down the, it's too late to handicap this race, but the 2, is getting played. So, I don't know, last race he was running trouble. He's got to improve. He's short priced. The 1 is 8-1. Yeah, it's not bad. 5, 4-1. He's more of a presser, so I'm a little worried about him. The 10 looks okay. So, the 1, 6, and 10 look like horses that you might want to be using in this race. 1 is 8-1. The 6 is 24-1. The 10 is 7-1. So those are the interesting horses to me. And they still haven't run at Gulfstream. So. Update on that race: 6-5 on the 7, 7-2 on the 4. The horse we like, and the 1 is 9-1. Okay, no comments out there. Nothing. Come on. Everyone's busy betting. Okay. Well, it's okay too. Headed. Monmouth's another track. It's a little bit late, so they're 3 minutes. I mean, 0 minutes, but probably take another 3 minutes load the horses there. You're going into the gate finally at Gulfstream. I'm going to go, after this, there's nothing here at Churchill. I want to go back to the rod after the Gulfstream race so that we can identify. I think there's a couple of long shots, good price, good playing opportunities later in these cards that I want to point out. So let's just watch the race from Gulfstream first, and I'll get back to the rod. Okay, so I think the break's real important here, right? You got 3 horses that are going to be kind of. Let me get the plot up for that race so we can see it. Okay, here it is, race 2. Two didn't get off. One got off badly, but he didn't have speed. 2 got off a little slow, but he's rushed up now. And yeah, the 3 and the 6, right? Because I mean, the 6 and the 5 are the early pace horses, so they're going at it. They're going at it, and the 2 and the 7 are sitting behind them. 5 is backing up. Here comes the 2. 4's got some run here. I think the 4's got, yeah, he's got some run. He can get outside horses here. Yeah. Oh, you got the 2 is closing. 3's making a late run. 3's making a late run. Wow, 2-4. 2 showed a lot of grit there. 2 showed a lot of grit. The 1 probably needed the race. 2-4. Okay. Yeah. Look, there's another way to go if you just throw the 7 out. Yeah, I think that was the right play. I mean, they were close in price, and honestly, the 2 had a little bit better plot. But I think you always play the better price, even though they ended up closer than I thought they were going to end up, because the 4 ended at 3-1, and the 2 was 5-2 at the end. 7 finishes off the board, so yeah. All right, not a great play there. I mean, make a play, but it was worth it. I think we show kind of like. Well, let me go back because that's important. I think the plot was so good here. The 5 and 6 duel. Okay, so here's the important thing. This is really kind of more of a capability thing than anything. The 5 and 6 don't plot anywhere near, so they're negative. Now, so because they need the lead, okay, I think there's a learning thing. Because they need the lead, they're going to go to the front, but they're going to be compromised, right? Because they're just not good enough, capability-wise, and the plot relative to these other horses not good enough. So that's what they did. They kind of chucked it. The 3, okay, was a little bit smarter and kind of stayed off the pace. That's why he kind of got up for 3rd. If he tried to contend for the lead, he'd be in the same boat. So I think the change in style on the 3 actually worked for him. But, the horses that were the most capable were in quadrant 1 here, and they kind of ran to form, with the 7 being a little bit of the exception. The 1 got off bad, never got in the race, needed a race, wasn't a factor. But yeah, I just think this is, again, when you're reading the plot, sometimes people are like, well, why wasn't the 7 on the lead? You should be on the lead. No, I mean, it's not how they actually run. It's just that, yeah, based on the past performances, he's got the best early pace and first call and second call pace. Doesn't mean he's necessarily going to be on the lead. This is why. That's why you want to always look at the run styles and compare the run styles to the way the horses are going to run. 5 and 6 were really up against it based on their run styles and where they plotted, right? That's why they're red, 3, 5, and 6, okay? It's an important point. I just wanted to bring it out. Let's go to Monmouth. I don't know what's going on there. They run the race, right? I guess they ran it. I guess the 11. I'm just looking at the gallop out here. Ten was in the lead. The 1 was. Yeah, 11 looks like. One faded. And a 6, you know, 1 and the 6 outrun their odds, but not good enough. The 11 should have been a pretty decent price too, but 10 died. Yeah, I'm just looking at the 1-6. I guess they finished 3rd, 4th, and 5th or something. Yeah, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. All right, well, you take a chance. Again, they're all prices, so. When you're betting big prices, you could afford to be wrong a lot more than when you're betting short prices. And you're not going to make a score on short price favorites all the time. You're not going to grind it out. It just doesn't work that way. Trust me. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the rod, and then we'll look at Gulfstream and, you know, some of the other tracks, Churchill, the next races, because I wanted to point out another horse. I want to go to race 7 at Woodlawn. Okay, race 7. Let's go to that race, because I think there's an interesting. I'm not normally a Woodbine player, but I noticed this horse was in the rod, and I just think, for me, if I get anywhere near that morning line, I may even take less. He's the play for me for today. I would build a play around this horse. Go to grid. And the horse is a silver magnetized, okay? And you can see this horse plots only on standard because he's going to try surface for the first time. So you can see where he sits right on the plot. So he's kind of like, this is a race. Plot fits kind of red. Not kind of, it is red. Speed rating's average and contention's average. This horse could sit, you know, just based on this, looks like it can sit a pretty good trip. Okay, doesn't plot here. So not a lot to go on with the plot because it is messy plot. Let's go to the grid, and this is where this horse pops for me. Okay, so if you look at, let's look at the last 45 days. I just want to see, like, what speed figures are kind of the ones that look good. And it looks like 81, 81, 82. So, you know, you got to probably, even though the fig range is a little bit low, you know, 80 is probably where you're going to have to be. So it's a little bit, I think it might be a little bit above the frig range, for, you know, whatever. So I'm going to go look at the 4 of them, silver magnetized. Okay, here's a horse, early in his career, so he kind of runs maiden special weight. We suggest drop. They don't drop. They don't drop, and they win, but he gets a perfect trip. And the barn was hot. You can see a lot of information here, right? And again, any of these keywords are in the, if you go to info and look at the plot, they're there. You click here, you can tell you what all these keywords mean. So don't despair. Then comes back in a stakes race and doesn't finish, but still, you know, runs a 77. Comes back on synthetic then, another stakes race, same kind of effort. Troubled, it's put him back in optional claimer, proves a little bit, but he had trouble in that race, trouble to start. So then we don't see this horse for 142 days, comes back, and you can see the keyword here, projection prep. Let's look at the extended comment. Chased inside under a hand ride, looked to be given and needing this race. Okay, so they definitely were not trying to win with him this race. Now, speed figures have kind of gone low, but again, that was his first race back in under 42 days. The next race back, he has trouble. And look at the projection, turf. That means this horse is going to be better on turf, and he has been, right? I mean, look at his numbers on turf. He ran that big 82's winning effort as a 2-year-old. So you think about the grow-up potential in this horse. You think about third off a layoff. You think about trouble after a prep and getting to the surface we think he's going to prefer. Shortening up a little bit. This horse is 6-1. anything 4-1 for me is good. I think this horse has got a big shot, especially with that growth. I mean, growth potential alone, this horse could run in the mid 80s. Okay, and we looked at what it takes to win this race, probably low 80s. And so this horse to me looks like he's going to be a little bit under the radar just because of the recent form. But I think we can make some excuses for this horse, and I think we're looking at improved form on number 4, Silver Magnetized, in race 7 at Woodlawn. Okay, okay, so let's look at what we have so far. Again, Silver Magnetized. That's a horse we want to really look at. Monmouth, race 5, the number 1 exclusive order. Monmouth, race 9, Artist Angel. Okay. I don't know if I mentioned this one, but I think might have been early on. This is a horse that had a better than a look after the last time. Let me bring him up so we can see it. I don't think I did, actually. I don't think I mentioned this horse. Put a plot in the grid. Now, the big thing with this horse is, are you really going to get the morning line? 8-1 looks very high to me, so I'd be a little bit iffy on that. So, but he's going to get pace to run at. Plots as a quadrant 4 square. You can see all the kind of pace lining up in this race. The one's kind of high on there, so we want to evaluate him. But when you go to the grid, he's another horse that's a little bit understated here. Let's go to the grid. Okay, so he comes off the layoff. No keep kind of race. Probably needed the race. Then he had trouble in the next race at Tampa. And then he had trouble again in this race. And even though he had trouble, he improved his optics fig by 9 points. When you look at the fig range, it looks like he's really up against it. But let's look at the filters, because I think some of that fig range is 6 months, kind of 3-6 months. And when you look at what's recent here, there's not a lot of horses, with the exception of the 11, who's doing it on dirt. That's kind of stands out, right? When you compare the 77, I mean, he's basically, you throw these dirt races out, this horse is basically right there with the 82 and the 80. Okay, he's not too far off, and projecting improvement because of the trouble and a better than looked effort. It's got Paco Lopez and Breen, so sometimes that dampens the price a little bit. So maybe it's more, I don't know. 5-1 to me would be 4-5-1 be fair value on that horse. So it's one to consider in race 9 at Monmouth. Okay, so if you're playing Monmouth, that's one to consider. So let's go back. I think we're about to go to the second race at Belmont, see if there's anything there. I don't even. Okay, Belmont. Yeah, second race. Okay, so it looks like 7 and the 1 are the pace horses. And again, what I like to do is I segment the pace. I like to break it down in segments, like who's got an advantage. It's the early pace, who are the pressers that have an advantage, and then maybe the closers. In this case, just based on the plot, the 1 has a major advantage over the 7. Okay, especially the fact that the 1 can sit and the 7's got to go. So now the only thing is does the 7 take something out of the 1, right? Because if they hook, but you have to lean more to 1. Now, I don't like his price either, 5-2. So, but he of the horses that have to go, he's the one that looks best. So you're looking at horses that maybe there's really the presser types and the presser closers kind of combine here a little bit. So the 4 and 3 are the next logical horses in this race. And I can't really separate them on the plot. I mean, they both look okay. They're both big squares in this race, so they're going to be the ones finishing. So it's going to be about trip. Now the 4 is a better price, so let's look at the grid. Well, let's look at the table before I open up the grid. I guess the 3 had trap. Well, let's look at this. Let's get to it. Let me get the grid for me, it's you get to see all the past performances, so I can have a better sense where these horses are. So again, you know, you got to let price be your guide. I don't know if there's a race I want to get involved with, but let's look at the 3. Okay, so this is the 3rd start for this horse. Hasn't done anything wrong. So far, she hasn't done anything wrong. She, you know, got a good trip debut, ran good, and a long layoff. I mean, she's got so much upside potential, right? Because she ran 87 as a 2-year-old, you know, late in the year last year. So there's projection above that. So she looks tough. The 4 made a move last race, second off a layoff, but I don't like that the number kind of declined. Let's see what the move says. Seemed to be moving into contention on the turn, but Top Runners pulled away in the stretch. Yeah. I mean, I don't like her as much. To me, you know, I like the 3, but let's look at the 1, just price. Yeah, I mean, the 1, you know, the 1 is kind of look, I think the 1 might be, I don't know why the 1 is that price. They're 2 Clement horses. I guess I prefer the 3 over the 1. I guess 1 went from Franco to Rosario. 3, yeah, I gotta prefer the 3 over the 1. I mean, so the 1 was off a layoff. The race got stretched. So I guess the pace was fast. This is typically what happens. And then scratch at a race that came off the turf at a really low level. Look at that. This is a very important point here. Look at this. So this horse was entered for non-winners 2 lifetime. Okay, non-winners 2 lifetime. And got scratched when it came off the turf. Now they got her back in with allowance types. Maybe that was open company. Maybe that's, you know, similar, you know, because this is state bred. But still, I mean, they were ready to get rid of the horse. I don't like the 1. I'm against the 1. How's that? I'm against the 1. So I'm against the 1. I'm against the 7 because of the pace dynamics. Okay, that makes sense. So 1, 7, scratch out. The 2, the 6 is no good because, I mean, look, he's a circle and he's, you know, he's so I'm out. So 1, 2, 6 are gone. The 4 I'm iffy on. That leaves me with the 5. Let's look at the 5. 3 is the key for me in this race. Let's look at the 5. Traffic. I don't know if he was in the same space race as the 1 or not. It just, this horse just looks too slow to me. So I don't like him. The 6, we talked about his plot being below par. 7, we got that horse out of the way. To me, it's like a 3-4. That's how I look at this race. 3-4. 3 is 2 to 1 now. Yeah, not an interesting betting race, but you know, it's just a good race to, like, you know, again, what we're trying to do too is show you how to kind of maybe break down a race with the plot and the notes, and that's the important thing here. But 3-4 there race. I'm against the 1. That's for sure. Okay. Talked about Woodbine. Going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of Rod now because I think I covered all the races I wanted to cover. We talked about the pace scenarios in Monmouth and Hawthorne later in the day. We're on race 3 at Gulfstream. So what I'll do is I'll take us through race 3. Let's see if there's anything in race 4 Monmouth. And then we'll kind of stop at race 4 and then I'll let you guys get back to it. See if there's any questions, see if anybody wants to cover anything, any other races. No? Okay. Okay. All right, so we'll take you through race 4 at Monmouth, and then we'll go from there. And we'll drop off. look at race 3 at Churchill. Sort of 2 minutes out at Belmont. 6 minutes at Gulfstream. Okay, so when you typically see a plot like this at Churchill, you know, I just basically, people know it before. When you see it pretty lined up, I mean, that's why it's a green plot. You kind of start left to right, and then you say, okay, this horse looks the best. This horse looks the second best. So to me, you know, the 2 is the kind of interesting thing because he plots the best here on standard, okay, and not so much on surface distance, okay, because he's stretching out. So he could be a pace factor. So to me, I think it's really a non-betting, right? The 6 looks good, and I guess, you know, if they go at it too hard, you know, the only horse that can probably run them on late, run past the maybe, you know, it depends on what the 2, what impact he has on the 6 early, right? Because he's a sprinter. So, you know, either the 6 needs to sit, and it looks like he can. Maybe sits right off the 2, picks him up. Or if they do hook, look for the 1 to come right. It looks like the other 2 horses, the other 3 horses are going to be up against it from a pace flow perspective, right? Because they're going to be behind and they need to out finish. And it doesn't look like, based that their circles versus squares, they're going to be vulnerable there. So, you know, nothing really interesting in that race. Can't, you know, there's no value in race 3, Churchill. Okay. So I'm going to cross this out. Belmont. Race 2. Talked about that race. Let's talk about Gulfstream race 3. Okay, so it looks like the 1 and 6 are horses that are not going to do each other favorites, right? You can see that they're going to be on top of each other. That could help. See, the 7 is vulnerable. He's an EP horse that plots well below, so that I don't like the 7. I'm going to cross him out. I think the 1 and 6 may hurt each other. The 2 and the 3 look like the horses that are going to be the horses. 2, 3, and 4, right? They're all squares. They're all kind of pressers, right? They're going to be presser closer types. So they're going to be sitting the trip. So 2, 3, and 4. This is another race where you go through the odds, you go through your progression. The 2 is 2 to 1. Does he have that big of advantage? The 3 and then the 4. So we're going to go to the grid and take a look. They're loading it again. Wow, they really hammered it down. The 3 is now 6 to 5, 4, 6 to 1. Full disclosure. Okay, so we wanted to look at the Gulfstream race, and we said the 2, 3, and the 4 are the horses we got to evaluate. So the 2, who is the favorite currently, it's okay. I'm just wondering if this horse is peaked already, right? And I don't like this no lead either. But you know, maybe he's peaked already. I don't know if he's got such more upside. So, you know, maybe he's not the right one. It looks like the 3 could have peaked too. Perfect trip. Really ran a number well above what he normally runs. So that leaves us with the 4, who's 12 to 1. I don't know. This horse, he's okay. I mean, he's moving up in class a little bit here. Seems to prefer 6 furlongs. Let's look at his 6 furlong races. Other than getting slow out of the gate in 2 races, this horse has run really well. 6 furlongs, won all 3 races, and his figures compete here. Why not? 9 to 1. So for me, I'm on the 4 here. You know, I think that's, you know, quick analysis of this race. I kind of like the 4. Let's see if the 1 or the 6 could dominate one of the others. So, because if one of them dominates, it could be over too. So that's another scenario. Looks like the 1, even when he got a long lead, he won one time with a long lead, but that was going 5.5 furlongs. Let's look at the 6. He's okay. You know, he's going to be sitting outside the 1. Yeah, I prefer the 6 to the 1. I just think he's going to get, maybe he could sit off the 1. So that's another horse. Look, I mean, it's such a big space between these early pace horses. So, and he's not a need to lead horse yet. So for me, 6 and 4 are the horses that I kind of like in this race. You know, again, value-wise and all the rest. Wow, that 1 did go. That 1 ran well. That 1 stayed on at Belmont. I was against him. Oh well. I missed the whole Belmont race. Look like you got a fairly easy lead, the 1. I'm watching a little bit of the replay of that. I think a pretty easy lead, the 1. 3 had just too much to do. Well, again, this is where what I always want to point out is sometimes the plot just is better than even I am trying to outwit the plot. And I did. So. There are 0 minutes in Gulfstream, but who knows? And I got a late scratch of the 5 that really makes this race kind of not interesting. These are, I got to do this more in later races. These early races just don't have enough. But again, I did give you some stuff for the later races, so pay attention to those. I'll review them. People will just join at the end when I finish up here. So we're going to end, since the Churchill race is not event, I'm going to just end it here at Gulfstream race 3. So here, again, 6, I thought was the best of the speeds. I just value-wise the 4. I prefer, I think, maybe both the 3 and the 2 a little toppish at Gulfstream. So 6 is 4 to 1, and the 4 is 14 to 1. They're in the gate. And 1 was sent. 6 is not showing the kind of speed I thought it was going to show. Maybe that's a good thing. Six is stalking. Looks like the 6 has got the 1 beat. Yeah, it just seems like. Oh, there's one. One's on the wrong lead still. Still doesn't make a difference. Oh, they run again right to the plot. One's 163. I don't want you dug in. One dug in. 6-1. Oh wow. Okay. That's why you got to watch the board there. Okay. That's it. All right. So I just want to leave you with a couple things. One is take a look at Woodbine race 7, number 4, silver magnetized, race 5 at Monmouth, number 1, exclusive water. We can kind of run into why. And you can go back and look at this race 9, number 5, Artie's Angel. And then the 2 extreme pace races where we like the 6 in Hawthorne race 7 because it has off the pace flow, and another off the pace on the place extreme race 6 at Laurel, and we went with number 5 there. Okay, let's see. All right, thanks everyone. I appreciate it. Next week we're going to be doing Kentucky, and we'll be doing for the big races. Donald and I are going to be doing a video analysis of the big races, Stephen Foster, maybe some of the other races, get his opinions. He does the optics notes for Churchill in Kentucky, so we'll get his expertise. He also is a clocker, and yeah, he'll have a lot of great information. So, and we'll have a package for Optics Focus for that day. So it's a big day of racing in Kentucky on next Saturday. It's a big weekend, so look forward to that. And thanks everyone. Thanks for your support. And if you have any questions or things you want to see, just send us a line. Go to OptixEQ.com and contact form. Beautiful. Okay. Thanks everyone.